YouTube, what is up? Welcome back to another video, and this video starts off this is the first discussion of the series that I will probably talk the most about on this channel, and that is One Piece. And this week we got a special, and this week we got a banger. We are going to talk about and explore some of the theories around the character Blackbeard, and almost more specifically Blackbeard's body and how that works. Okay, now I know this probably sounds kind of sus, but ain't like that, because Blackbeard is a very interesting character when it comes to One Piece, and he's obviously very different. Now when you just look at a picture of Blackbeard and of who he is, he doesn't look very different from just your average One Piece character. Now he obviously looks different than like a normal human being, right? But like compared to other One Piece characters, I mean, there's nothing special, right? Except for that there is. And this is really brought up to us by Marco, who is the basically first division commander. He's the right-hand man of Whitebeard, basically, during the time of the Marineford War. And during that time, Marco points out, and he's like, yeah, that guy, Blackbeard, there's just something wrong, something weird about his body and how it works. And we're talking about Oda here. Oda is the one who, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, if you're watching this video, you don't know who Oda is. He's the guy who wrote One Piece. He created One Piece. And Oda is known for doing things and doing very small detail things on purpose, basically. And so we have to take something like that Marco says at face value. It's like, okay, yeah, Blackbeard's weird. Blackbeard is different, basically. Like we have to recognize now, Blackbeard is built different. So now the question is, what does that mean necessarily? Why does Marco say that? And while a lot of the things we're going to talk about in this video aren't confirmed, are very theoretical, there are some things, like, we take a lot of, like, you know, factual moments in the story and then use those to try and explain other things. But basically, the first thing we're going to talk about is that there are a lot of inconsistencies when it comes to Blackbeard. There's a lot of inconsistencies, and basically, so we have, you know, you have the Blackbeard who was on, you know, Whitebeard's crew for a long time, and who was eating pies in Jaya and was just kind of, you know, as jolly as they could be, much, you know, happier of a person, much more kind-hearted. And a lot of people think when thinking about this version of Blackbeard, a lot of people think he's just a really good actor. And a lot of people say that he's just a really good actor. He's good at acting, like he's not as, you know, evil or you know, cunning as he normally is, and he's able just to fool people easily. And that very well could be true, but that is one side of Blackbeard, right? There's that, like, jolly, you know, kind-hearted nature, Blackbeard. And then there's the, you know, very, very smart and scheming and maniacal kind of Blackbeard, who's, you know, who you know, has set up this plan, basically. This is the Blackbeard who set up the plan of, I'm going to join the Whitebeard crew, and then I'm going to play the long game, waiting for this specific devil fruit to come up, the darkness devil fruit that he has. You know, I'm going to wait for that, and then once I do, I'm gonna steal it, I'm going to commit treason, and I'm gonna make my own crew, and then I'm going to go to Impel Down and get this specific person, and I need these specific people for my crew. And so it shows us that he is obviously a very smart person who knows exactly what he's doing, and he plans everything, basically. And so that is very different from the guy we met on Jaya, and the guy who's, lighthearted and kind, and who's talking to Ace and who's like, yeah, Ace, you should definitely become the division commander because you are the best of us. Like, very different person. And then there's another type of Blackbeard who is just he's basically just kind of goes crazy. I mean, this is the Blackbeard who in Impel Down basically almost killed his entire crew. He sees Magellan. He sees Magellan off in the distance, and he sees Magellan off in the distance, right? And he's like, yo, God, let's just go. And then they all get doused in the poison, and they're like, basically, they're all dead to rights. The only person who is up in the air whether or not he actually would have died is Blackbeard, because because as we've stated, his body is different. He works differently. He's literally built different. So it's up in the air as to whether or not he actually would have died. But the rest of his crew that was there with him, they're all dead. If they are all dead if they don't get the antidote like they do. I mean, luckily they do get the antidote, but that was very different. Like, the guy who, planned all that out and everything would not have done that, to be completely honest with you. Like, that guy wouldn't have done that. So we see Blackbeard acting is so completely different in many different points during the story, and so it leads us to be like, well, what the heck? Like, is just Oda just is this character just weird? Like, he just is different? Like, I mean, we all seriously respect it. Like, that wouldn't make sense, because Oda is so good at his character creation and development and the depth to every single one of his characters, where it really would not make sense for him to just create a guy who just is different in every situation. Like, who's just kind of all over the place, crazy, just doesn't have much else. Like, that just wouldn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we're thinking. That's why theories have started to come out as to why these multiple personalities are a thing. And basically, there's one theory, and this one's, a very popular theory. A lot of people like it. Personally, it's not my favorite theory. I'll let you know what that is in a little bit, but there is a theory where Blackbeard basically ate a mythical Zoan type devil fruit that was the Cerberus three-headed dog fruit. And basically that's how he has three separate personalities, is because he is now basically that at all points in time. Which makes sense. I mean, also one of the biggest things about Blackbeard is his flag, and his flag has the 3 skulls on it, so that would also make sense. 3 skulls, 3-headed dog, makes sense. 3 is a really important number. 3 defines 3 revolves around Blackbeard, and a lot because of his flag and the 3 skulls on it. So that's something that's really important with Blackbeard, and that also helps us helps with that theory. But personally, the theory I think that I believe most and that I think is the best is that Blackbeard just has multiple souls inside of him, to the point where then a different soul can take over the body at different times, and multiple souls can take over at the same time, just be half and half or something. But to the point where he has, and I like the idea of it being 3, that there are 3 souls that Blackbeard has inside of him, and that would explain a lot of his personality stuff of maybe one of those souls is that a little bit more kind-hearted, and one of them is extremely smart and and scheming type of person, and then another one is just kind of I'm gonna go wreck some stuff up, let's go, so that would explain a lot of that stuff. Whereas and then that theory I also think plays into one of the most influential moments of the series that happens with Blackbeard, and that is during Marineford when he takes Whitebeard's devil fruit power. Now, we have been told believe it was in Ennie's lobby when we learned that a person can't have more than a single devil fruit power because they would then just explode. So basically, if they eat a devil fruit, they have that power. If they eat another one, they explode and they die. But well, first off, we've never actually seen that happen. We've never actually confirmed that 100%. We just have been told that by somebody. I think it was Blue and O who told us that. But we're not personally, I'm not 100% sure on that. For me, a lot of things in One Piece, until we see it, I can't confirm it, basically. And so that is a thing, but like, take it with a grain of salt, you know. But with that information, Blackbeard should be dead because he has multiple devil fruits now, because he has the darkness one, and then he stole the one from Whitebeard. Which, how he stole that and everything like that, that's a whole, and what happens with devil fruits when people die, that's a whole different discussion for a whole different video. We're gonna focus on how, like, Blackbeard then comes out of that tarp, you know, he was messing with Whitebeard, whatever, and then he comes out and he's like, one fist is darkness and one fist is doing Whitebeard's power, the tremor for, and it's like, what? Like, and it begs another question, but it starts to make sense when you're thinking of the souls of Blackbeard having multiple souls, basically, because then he can give a devil fruit power to a different soul. So one soul has, you know, the darkness, one soul has the tremor, and so they aren't actually in the same person, which is why he hasn't exploded, because it's not the same soul having it. That can make sense. And then you would think, well, but if he has 3 people in him, if 3 is such an important thing, and we think that 3 people, like 3 different souls, are inside Blackbeard, then what about the third one? And there's a lot of theories. One that I personally like a lot, I don't know if it's true, I don't know if I believe it necessarily, but I like it a lot, is that possibly Blackbeard, possibly that first one maybe ate some sort of devil fruit that could give him the power to take somebody's soul and put it inside of him. We know that souls exist in this world because of, you know, people like Big Mom and Brooke have definitely confirmed that souls exist in the world of One Piece. But it's not guaranteed, like, and that fruit wouldn't be the same as like Big Mom's. A lot of the problems people have with that theory is that they're like, it's too similar to Big Mom's, because Big Mom can take people's life force out of their soul and like give that to the homies, you know, on Whole Cake Island. That's what she does. But what the devil fruit that I'm thinking, like, the power would be, is not like that. Basically, he can just take a person's soul or get a soul somehow, and he can only put it inside himself. He can't like dish it out to other stuff. It goes directly to him, and so that would be how he has multiple souls. So maybe that first version of Blackbeard, maybe, and whichever one that is, I personally think it would be the, like, you know, smart and scheming one that was the original Blackbeard, who came up with the whole plan, and then he went and he got 2 more souls, and he was like, I'm gonna get these 2 devil fruits, basically. That makes sense to me, and I really like that idea. You know, there are lots of different, you know, theories around that. You definitely go and check them out, but for me, those make the most sense in the story. And basically, then there's also, there wasn't a lot of information given after that point on Blackbeard, which is why there's like still so much mystery even to this day, where the current chapter that just came out was 1018, which, I mean, Jinbei a boss, let me just tell you that. But like very little has been given all the way up until the as far as I understand, all the way up until Odin's backstory. He didn't actually get any more real information on Blackbeard. The information we got in that backstory is good, but it just leaves us grasping at more straws. Because basically what's happening is we get this moment where the Roger pirates and the Whitebeard pirates, they end up running into each other on an island and they fight for 3 days, and then they start this like trade market basically with each other. But there's a panel, a little scene where Buggy and Shanks are talking to each other, and they're pointing out Blackbeard to each other. They're like, "Yo, that guy, did you see him?" They're talking about Blackbeard. It's like, yeah, bro, he never slept. The entirety of the 3 days, Blackbeard never slept. And so basically what that's telling us is that Blackbeard either can't sleep or just doesn't sleep. One of the two, but it means that he has the ability to just never sleep. And for me, this works into a lot of the theory of him having multiple souls. Because then basically one soul just takes over, while the other one, the other two like go to sleep or something. One soul takes over, or two souls take over, and one goes to sleep, and then that one takes over, and the two go to sleep. So, something like that. So he's constantly always up, but like one of the souls in him is asleep or something. You know what I'm saying? And so this also takes us back to a moment in it. It also possibly takes us back to a moment in Drum Island when Luffy and Sanji are running up the mountain to try and help Nami and get her to feel better, try and find a doctor. They're like, they're running past all like, the crazy stuff going on, and they're talking, and Luffy goes, "Hey, Sanji, you ever heard about how in snow countries they don't sleep because they would freeze?" And Sanji's like, "Yo, what? Are you an idiot? Like, that's so stupid. Where did you ever hear that?" And Luffy's like, "Oh, I don't know. Just some guy in a bar told me that." But if you look more into that, think about it. Luffy's home island. As a kid, Luffy would go to the bar at his home island all the time. The lady there would just give him an orange juice, and he would sit there and listen to stories. And specifically, one of the most influential points of Luffy's childhood is when the red hair pirates are at his hometown, and he hangs out with them constantly. Arguably almost every single day he tries to go and hang out with Shanks and the red hair pirates. And so it would make sense if at one point, the red hair pirates, somebody tells them like a ghost story about how people don't sleep in reference to Blackbeard. Which makes sense because, they've like Shanks and Blackbeard have had run-ins. When you think about Shanks and Blackbeard, first off, we know that they had that first time basically that they met during Odin's backstory. But Shanks has scars on his left eye. And those scars were given to him by none other than Blackbeard himself. Now, before Blackbeard got the Darkness Devil for power, how he fought on the Whitebeard pirates was he had basically Wolverine claws. That's how he fought. He had Wolverine claws and he would just slash at stuff. So he was able to slash at and get a scar on Shanks, and we know from a scene where Shanks goes to talk to Whitebeard specifically about Blackbeard. Shanks says, "I did not get this due to carelessness." Like this, if we know anything about Shanks, is that when he gets into a fight, he is not careless. So the fact that Blackbeard was able to get a good hit and a good slash that left a scar for the rest of his life on Shanks, that means a lot. That means that Blackbeard is a force that you need to worry about. And that's why Shanks has that meeting at all. That's why Shanks goes to see Whitebeard at all, is to go and tell him, you need to stop Ace, and you need to think carefully and be careful about how you deal with Marshall D. Teach, because he is crazy. And that, it all ties back. It all ties back, and that makes sense as to why the Red Hair Pirates would know anything about Blackbeard, why any of that would happen, and why Shanks is like legitimately afraid of what Blackbeard can do because he's seen what Blackbeard can do. And there's lots of theories about how Blackbeard was able to actually get that scar on the shanks. Because a lot of people don't think he was able to just like physically one-on-one duel him, Shanks with his sword and him with his Wolverine things, just like one-on-one doing, getting a slash off, and then they both like get to the point where both of them are so evenly matched that then they both go their separate ways because they're too tired to even be able to finish the fight. Personally, I don't think that's how it happened. I think there is probably something that happened, and it definitely wasn't carelessness on Shanks' part. We know that for sure. How it happened, to be honest, I don't even know if we'll ever actually know. I would be surprised if it isn't explained at some point. Like, we aren't given like at least even like a mini backstory as to like what happened, like how that fight went down, how he got that scar. It was like it's like a small little like one chapter deal or something. But like that is something that still has not been explained, which is pretty crazy to me. And it leads us to know that Blackbeard is terrifyingly strong. He is terrifyingly strong. But because of there are things that happen to his body, and this is kind of going a bit back more to what we were initially talking about and how his body is literally built different. We get to see that his body does actually legitimately work differently. Like at a mechanical level, it works differently. First thing is that he feels an incredible like the amount of pain he feels is much more than a normal person. So like a prick or like just getting like a single punch, while that would hurt one person, that it's like amplified a lot for Blackbeard, possibly amplified 3 times for Blackbeard, because with this theory, and this is where the theory of multiple souls really takes hold for me, is if he has multiple souls inside of him, that then means he feels the pain of each one of his souls for every single bit of like damage he gets. So if it's 3, like we like think it is, if it's 3, then he feels pain 3 times more for everything than a normal person would. Which we see this a lot when he fights Ace. Ace, like, burns him up, and then he's like laying on the ground and he is just writhing in pain. Like, it is the most painful thing for him. Where somebody else wouldn't have freaked out as much to the hit Ace gave him, because they would have been feeling less pain. Now, it still definitely would have been painful. Like, I'm not trying to say Ace is weak or anything in his hits. Like, it was a good hit, but it hit Blackbeard that much more because he feels that much more pain. But it also works in every other aspect of his stats, basically. He also has, however much his pain is amplified, it is the same for his endurance as well. So, while he feels, we'll just keep with the 3, while he feels possibly 3 times more pain than a normal person, he also has 3 times the amount of endurance as a normal person. So it balances itself out, and that's why he's then able to he's like rolling around after he's like got hit by Ace, and he's like freaking out, and it's super painful, and he's like, okay, I'm good, and he gets up, and you're like, what? Like, what? It paints him as weak, right? It paints, like, you start to view him as a little bit weak because he's freaking out at these blows that shouldn't be taking him out or freaking him out as much, but they do because of this thing. However, he really is not weak at all, and we see this too. Physically, he's not actually that weak, because when he's fighting Ace, he does something with Blacksmith, he pulls him in and nullifies Ace's Devil Fruit power, and he grabs him, and just his grasp on Ace's like arm, Ace couldn't get out of that. And think about it, Ace and Blackbeard, Ace is obviously like looking at them. Ace is by like, you would want, every time you would guess that Ace is 30 times actually stronger than Blackbeard is, like physically. because Ace is ripped and Blackbeard's got like a pot belly with scrawny little arms. But with the way that they're talking about him, and specifically the conversation Shanks has with Whitebeard, we get to know that Blackbeard is terrifyingly strong. And this leads us to the question of how. How did he get all? Is he just such an anomaly of a person? Now, the theory for me that really works here is that Blackbeard somehow has a connection to Rox. Now, Rox is the pirate that everyone feared. And Garp talking about him is like, yeah, I mean, Garp and Goldie Roger had to team up just to take this guy down. And Garp and Goldie Roger are the epitome of power. Like, they are the definition of power. So if those two had to team up to take him down, that means this guy's nuts. But from my understanding, that's about all we know about Rox. But a lot of people think, yeah, Blackbeard might have a connection to Rox. And because Rox is that crazy, maybe Rox had some sort of power where he was able to literally, like, store souls, and he had multiple people, so he was able to just keep reviving himself because he had more souls inside of him. So anytime they killed him, that just killed one of his souls. And maybe he was able to pass that on to Blackbeard, and that's how he got it. And so that is a theory that personally I really like, because I think that ties a lot of things together, and I think that would be really cool to see, is that there is that connection between them. But in the end, what we know right now isn't actually that much. We know that he is an anomaly. We know that what he's able to do is unlike anything anyone else can do. And as the story keeps progressing, to be completely honest, I really like the theory of Blackbeard having the connection with Rox and almost being like this generation's Rox, and Luffy being like this generation's Roger. I think that would be so cool. But that's just my 2 cents, you know? And that's where I'm at. But we do know that as of right now, it is highly unlikely Luffy would even stand even somewhat of a chance. I mean, Luffy's struggling right now against Kaido. And my opinion is that Blackbeard would beat Kaido. That Blackbeard could beat Kaido. And so if Luffy can't beat Kaido, which I think, I mean, by the end of the Wano arc, I think he will beat Kaido. But as of right now, I think the Blackbeard Pirates fought the Straw Hat Pirates right now at where the Straw Hat Pirates are strength-wise at chapter 1018. They stomp the Straw Hat Pirates. Blackbeard Pirates stomp the Straw Hat Pirates. That would be my prediction of right now, with 1018 being the latest chapter in the manga. But at some point they're gonna have to face him. And it's gonna be crazy. Let me tell you, it's gonna be nuts. And wow, I'm so excited, and I love the series. And Blackbeard is like the mystery around Blackbeard is one of the greatest things in the story for me, and it just is so well done, in my opinion. And I love that they're taking their time and not explaining. Like, Oda's not explaining anything, and he's taking his time. He's like, you'll know eventually. You'll know eventually. It'll be another 10 years, but eventually. But as for that theory, that is going to be it for today. This was just us. This was basically me just ranting about all these things I've been learning about Blackbeard, and that I thought were cool, and I wanted to get out in a more, in a single place, basically. So, let me know. Are there any cool Blackbeard theories and stuff that you personally believe? Let me know in the comments. We're gonna get a lot. I'm on the grind now. I am on the grind. Weekly uploads. Next week, Next week, I think I'm gonna be. Hey, this little secret, but I think I'm gonna start a new series next week. A new little discussion series about some people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you just have to stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on this video. If you like the content, it really does mean a lot to me. I'm out here, and we're in it for the long haul. We're gonna be giving manga chapter reviews. Every once in a while, the big things that happen, we're gonna be giving discussions. We're gonna have theory discussions and certain character discussions, certain arc discussions. It's gonna be a great time. So make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, so you don't miss anything. And that's gonna be it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.